kiddos, and today I'm going to talk with you about the curriculum A Gentle Feast. A Gentle Feast is a Charlotte Mason curriculum, and there are so many things that I have enjoyed about this curriculum over the past 2 years that we've used it. We are stepping into our 3rd year with it. It is how I started my son, my eldest, when he was 6. My 2nd son is now beginning at 6 as well, and I'm gonna just show you how we order our books and what is included. So the first thing I want to tell you about A Gentle Feast is when you go to their website, you're going to see that there are 4 cycles. And these are history cycles based on studying according to the way that Charlotte Mason advised people to study. And so the other thing you're going to notice is forms. And if you're unfamiliar with Charlotte Mason, a lot of this lingo may get confusing. So I'm just going to break it down for a moment to try to help you feel a little more comfortable as you navigate the website and look at what's available to you. So Form 1, using a Gentle Feast, is going to be your 1st graders through 3rd grade. Form 2 is 4th, 5th, 6th grade. Form 3 is 7th, 8th, 9th grade. Form 4 is 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Some things that you should know as a homeschool parent: it's up to you what form you put your children in. It's up to you when they're ready for the next level of material. You don't need to be bound by the forms. And one of the nice things about forms is that it's a range. So, you know, it says Form 2 is supposed to start in 4th grade. Well, if you have a super advanced 3rd grader who is just flying through material and really ready for written compositions and narrations, then you can maybe move them into some of the Form 2 lessons and keep them in some of the Form 1 lessons, depending on their ability level and what they're ready for. So when you are purchasing A Gentle Feast, if you know your child's form, then when you get your book, you're able to see what's available for their lessons. When you're actually ordering, you need to understand the history cycles and be able to choose which history cycle you want to begin with. My personal recommendation is to start at the beginning, and that's because that was Charlotte Mason's recommendation. So I'm simply quoting her. If you have a 6-year-old who is just starting formal lessons and they haven't done any other studies, or even if they have, I mean, they're only 6, I highly encourage you to start with Cycle 1. And they're going to study in Form 1 of Cycle 1 the beginning of the U.S., the United States, and of the North American continent, and some of the explorations coming over from Spain and from Europe. They're going to have books on Vikings and the myths surrounding that, and what we do know, etc. So those are going to be the things they're going to study in that history cycle. And A Gentle Feast is set up in such a way that everything that you study in your lessons ties into the same period of history. So your children are constantly building those connections between ideas. You know, they're reading a book in geography and they're reading a book in a history lesson, and they're listening to a composer during their morning study, and they're studying an artist, and they're reading poetry, and all of these lessons and all of these people and events are all tied to the same period of history. And that is, in essence, the directive of Miss Mason for Charlotte Mason education. So A Gentle Feast has done that for us. I'm going to show you the manual we're going to use this year. Like I said, we are entering our 3rd year with this curriculum. So we're in Cycle 3 because we started in Cycle 1. My eldest is entering his 3rd grade year, and my youngest son is technically entering a 1st grade year. So we are studying reforms, revolutions, and Reconstruction, which this is technically like the end of the Revolutionary War, the reconstruction of, you know, America and the States, and the whole, like, you know, just all the years of getting the Declaration, and then also going into the Civil War era and all that surrounded that, Abraham Lincoln, and just some of the great reformers there. So one question that I see often coming up is diversity and what is covered in terms of diversity. For our family in Form 1, which is your, like 6-year-old children until they're like 9, I have felt like A Gentle Feast has done a wonderful job presenting a very balanced view of history. So I don't feel like it's heavy-handed on any dark, heavy topics, which certainly exist in these periods of time. But I also feel like it doesn't entirely avoid them. It just presents them in an age-appropriate manner. So there are stories from Indigenous peoples woven throughout, because how could you possibly study American history without reading stories written from an Indigenous perspective? There are stories, last year in Cycle 2, we were doing the Revolutionary War primarily, and there was one of my son's favorite books was about Lafayette and a black slave who signed up to be a spy for the revolution because he wanted his freedom, and that's what was promised. And it even goes so far as to explain how he wasn't given his freedom like he was promised initially when the war was over. And it was just a really, really good read, really powerful, and showed a lot of what really was going on in that time. So for our family, I feel like it is a very balanced view for this age. Now, I don't have a Form 2 student, a Form 3 student, a Form 4 student, and I really haven't looked heavily at those books because I'm just not there yet. It might be that we may want to dig deeper, or we may omit things that are provided. I don't know. That's one of the beauties of homeschooling, that you get to do that for your children. I will tell you that we do add in picture books, and we do add in things as we come across them that fit into our time period, but we do like to stay within our time period. So I'm going to show you, if you choose a cycle of A Gentle Feast, one of the things that you will have access to is the book list. So one of the neat things about A Gentle Feast is, if you're on the fence about purchasing the entire curriculum, you can buy this book list for only $5. You can get the whole book list for $5, and you can see all of the books for every form that Julie suggests for that history cycle. And what I do is I print it off, and then I go through and find my child's form, and I search our personal library, and if we have the book, then I go ahead and check it off. I do order all the books we're going to use. I like having them on hand. I'm not a library girl for the most part. I know that's crazy to be a homeschool family, but it just works best for us to have the books here in our house and accessible throughout the year more than one time. So anyway, once I have checked our own personal library, I then go through the list and I start finding the books. I like to use thrift books, I like to use Aid books, I like to use Amazon during their sales, and I just hunt around, even eBay, until I find all of them. And what I usually actually do, just to stay organized, is I create a book list on Amazon. Like I create an idea list, I guess it's called, or a wish list. And then each time I find one of the books for a good price, I pull it off of there. I also go into thrift books, and I go ahead and put them on my wish list so that I'll be notified when they get a copy, and I can see if it's a copy that I want to purchase at a price that I like. So anyway, that is how I prepare once I have purchased a history cycle for our next term. So like right now, I usually get all my books by March or April, so we have all of our books. Once I have all my books, I organize them by term. There are 3 terms in a Gentle Feast school year. So I go ahead and section them off by term, which term we'll use each set of books. I actually have a 3-drawer caddy that I just drop all the books, term 1 books are in one drawer, term 2 books are in another drawer, term 3 books are in another drawer. It just makes life easy for me to be able to go into a drawer, pull out every book I need for a term, and then I've got the whole term covered. Once we're ready to begin school, I take that first term of books and I actually put them on a cart in here in our school area. We call it our breakfast room, and I have one of those 3-tiered carts, and I have a section, the top section is divided by like a caddy that holds some pencils and stuff that we use, and one side is for my eldest son and one side is for my middle son, and so that way any books that they don't both use are kind of sectioned off, like math and My little one will be doing geography books that my 3rd grader did when he did 1st grade geography with A Gentle Feast. So they'll have different geography books. Okay, so some of the things that I really, really love about A Gentle Feast. The primary thing is the family style of it. So all of your children are, regardless of their age or grade, are going to be studying the same cycle in history. They're going to be studying the same people, the same land areas, etc. And now, as your children do get older in Forms 3 and 4, I think even in Form 2, they start adding in streams. And so you will begin to like study maybe ancient civilizations in addition to your core content, you know, for your country or nation or whatever you're studying. So, and then eventually like you'll be studying a sister country, which for us would be England, or it could be Canada if that's what you wanted to do, but I think for A Gentle Feast they do England. So eventually like you'll have a Form 4 student who has multiple streams occurring at the same time, like world history, ancient history, you know, brother, sister, country, or whatever, like European or whatever it is, but you're gonna add in things. So you're gonna be studying more than one geographic area at the same time, or sometimes even outside of the like time period or era. You might be doing like ancient civilizations at the same time as you're studying the Revolutionary War in the US. Does that make sense? Because as the children get older, the breadth of what they're studying varies. But I'm gonna show you, like I said, my favorite thing and what kind of sold me on A Gentle Feast was the way that they group the children, regardless of their age, to be studying the same things, because there are just multiple layers to why this is delightful. You know, when you've got a Form 2 and a Form 3 student who are just a year or two apart, there may be times you'll combine because they're studying the same history cycle. So often the material in Form 3, you know, 6th grader could read the same book as your 8th grader or listen to the same read aloud, and it's totally fine. So that's nice to be able to combine some things. You don't always have to do everything as it's written, but here is what the lesson plans look like. And so for my children right now, I have 2 Form 1 students, so I'm only looking at this first column here. I don't even have to worry about these. These are for other forms, and my children aren't there yet. Next year, I'll have a student in Form 1 and a student in Form 2, so I would pay attention to these 2. And you can see here that in Form 2, we're adding in British history and an ancient history stream. Ooh, I didn't realize it all happened so soon. Ah. Okay, so anyway, for this year, I'm still only have to worry about the first column, but in the column, Julie has these beautiful manuals. You can purchase the printed, or you can just choose to have the digital plans. I'm a printed girl every step of the way. I have to have hard copies. I'm really not into using digital lesson plans, so everything is right here for me. It tells me in history what I need to do, and it shows day 1, day 2. For geography, it shows me what to do with a 1st and 2nd grader and what to do with a 3rd grader, which is what I'll be doing this year. My 1st grader will do something different from my 3rd grader. Science is blank in Form 1, and that's because in a Charlotte Mason education, your natural history and your nature study are your science in those years. So then you have your natural history readings. Citizenship begins in Form 2. Modern language resources, Julie has suggestions for you. In Form 1, she actually has plans, but she also has suggestions for you as you move up. Latin, math is something you're going to get on your own. This curriculum does not provide math. And then there is your folk song, solfa, and your foreign language song, and then drawing and art, and anything you want to add. Then after this, there is also the tea time and the morning time in the manual. So there's a separate morning time manual that I purchased, and I did a YouTube video on morning time. You do not have to purchase the separate manual. Your morning time plans are provided in this parent guide in your regular lessons, and it's also in the digital plans. I just like to have a copy of the printed version. This is tea time. It is slotted for each day during the week, and in tea time, it shows you which read alouds to be doing, and you can look here, your Form 1 and 2 are together, and then you have your Form 3s are doing something else, but these are your plans. I will tell you that tea time every afternoon doesn't work for our family because we are very outdoorsy and we spend so much of our afternoons outdoors. Often, as soon as our lessons are done, we hit the trail for a family adventure and we don't come home until 5 or 6 in the evening, sometimes even later. So for us, we do our tea time on Fridays, and our handcraft is like interspersed throughout the week, and I don't stress over it, or we're doing it every single day. A lot of times my children do their handcraft while they listen to me read aloud. So there are many people who love a homeschool planner, and I am going to tell you I am not one of those people. Well, actually, I love a homeschool planner in theory. I like the stickers and the gel pens and the different colors and how pretty I can make it. But after 2 years of trying, I have realized that this is all I need. The way Julie has set this up, I find very practical and easy to follow. At the end of her book, she has different scheduling suggestions, and she actually has blank schedules you can fill in yourself and print off online in the membership site. But I will just tell you that I literally go through my list and make check marks, and I have not found I need a schedule because everything's right here, and we do 4-day school weeks. So I literally say, oh, it's a Monday, we need to do 1 history, we're gonna do 1 geography, and then I usually will pick, then on the day that I don't do geography, we'll do natural history. And by the end of the week, all of this fits in delightfully. And I just check it off in light pencil mark as I go. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. If there's anything I feel like I need to add, there are spaces for that. I can fill it in here. I can document here what math lesson we're on. I can add things in, pencil things in. I just haven't found the need to have a separate planner, and I feel like it complicates my life. I like the open and go feeling of just needing this. So before I finish up the video, I want to show you that another option in a Gentle Feast curriculum is their language arts and their reading. So here's a place that people often get caught up, and I'm actually going to make another video about that because there's some confusion about what to order for a Gentle Feast when it comes to language arts and reading curriculum. So your child needs to be able to read in order to use the language arts. So if you don't have a solid reader, don't order language arts. Instead, order 100 lessons in 100 gentle lessons in sight and sound. But I'm going to show you language arts today. That's what we're using for my 3rd grader. That's what we used last year. There are 2 options in this language arts book. You can get the cursive, which my 3rd grader is ready for, or you can do the printed version, the manuscript. My suggestion to you is to only purchase the manuscript until your child is easily writing cursive independently as well as reading it. Language arts with a Gentle Feast is set up the same way every single week, and so I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's week 3, and the first day you're going to see copy work, and this is in cursive because we have the cursive one, and as you can see, it would be very frustrating to a child that wasn't confident in their cursive or who you were still teaching cursive to try to copy all of this. This is not intended to be done in one day. For my children, I set a timer, and I expect them to sit and write for 5 minutes until they finish this, and they need to be working diligently the whole time. Copy work is about precision and learning to write the things as they are written. So you're actually learning a lot of punctuation and rules by doing this. If you find that your child is not correctly copying or their handwriting is not pretty much perfect, then it needs to be redone. This is not about finishing quickly. There have been times that my children have only done 2 or 3 words in 5 minutes, and if it was done nearly perfectly, then I accepted it because that is the goal of this. It's not about how much they can do in a brief amount of time. So they would work on this each day until it was finished. It's not something that they would just do the first day. So as you can see, this also says day 1, and these are their words to study for the week. And these words come out of the copywork. And you'll see on day 5 why that is. So this is essentially your spelling materials. And so your child will trace the spelling words and then cover them and write them from memory and then rewrite them if needed. This is what they will do. And I actually have my son do this every day. Like he practices the words independently every day until the last day because that's how he learns to spell them. Day 2 is a drawing, and it tells you what to draw based on the copywork section. A lot of times we don't do this one because my son draws all the time and draws for other parts of our lessons, and it just hasn't felt necessary. And then here's composition, and we typically do try to do this. And then here is a grammar focus. You'll have something each week that you focus on, and it tells the student how to do it. And this is like the grammar focus practice page for the student. And then on day 5, you have dictation, and this is where your student is going to use those words that they've been practicing all week long. So at the beginning of the week, they had the words to practice, to read and write, and to practice. And now you're going to read this out loud to them, and they're going to fill in the words they've been practicing on the blank lines. So that is their dictation lesson on day 5, and it shows if they were able to retain the spelling that they had practiced all week. And that finishes out your week. And like I said, in language arts, this same process is repeated each week. So the children get into a rhythm and they know what is expected. And I will tell you that a lot of this becomes so innate with my kids that they can do much of it independently. Like my 8-year-old last year, he did his spelling each day independently, he did his copywork independently, and that gave me time to work with my 5-year-old on some phonics and basic reading lessons. So that is the gist of A Gentle Feast, the core curriculum and what you do. The books are all what I would consider living books. It is very Charlotte Mason in its approach, and I would just say that in order to know if it's a great curriculum for your family or not, your best bet is to go download the free 2-week sample lessons and just give it a try. You can get many of the books from the library, or also from, you can watch them on YouTube online, or from the free public records that you can find them in. There is also an amazing group on Facebook that you can join. It is the community group for A Gentle Feast, and I will put that in the comments here. If you join that group, there's so many questions answered. I feel like this curriculum is so easy to implement in my home. From the very first year we started using it, it just was very open and go and felt very comfortable for me. So that is why it's been such a good fit for us. There are many other options out there for families who are Charlotte Mason in their philosophy of homeschool. My comment in that regard is, there are free curriculums available. I found the most popular free curriculum website to be very overwhelming and confusing. It felt like just a hodgepodge of book lists, and I felt like I had to pretty much do everything myself, which I'm in a position as a working parent and as a busy parent that I needed something already kind of put together in an organized manner, and that's what I found in A Gentle Feast. I don't feel like there's much I ever have to add. If I do add anything, it's because I want to, and it's a joy for our family. It's all here, and that's been the most wonderful part of it. So I hope that this was helpful to anybody that is looking at A Gentle Feast. If you have questions, I'm always available in the comments, and I leave my information for Instagram, and I'm often in Julie's groups on Facebook as well. So if you would do me a favor and subscribe to my channel, give this video a like so that I know I'm doing all right, and I will see you next time. Happy homeschooling.